Good afternoon. Welcome to Exhale TV. It has definitely been a while since we have been live in various places at once. So you could be joining us from inside our gorgeous free Facebook community, Exhale and Ascend. You could be joining us on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Sounds like a real YouTuber when I say that. Or you could be joining us on our Facebook page, or you could be watching this on the replay in any of those places, or on Instagram. So me and Emma today. So Emma is our gorgeous Exhale Kids lead trainer. There's not much that Emma doesn't know about teaching or about leading mindfulness, meditation, working with kids, starting your own kids activity business in the wellness sphere, if you like. So Emma's here today to chat to you about how amazing it can be to run your own kids mindfulness or meditation business, or even maybe a kids yoga business. And she has been super successful in her Exhale career. She's been successful before that. But in particular, the things that stand out for me about Emma and why I think you should listen to Emma is because the feedback that she gets is just incredible. There's so much ease and grace about how she teaches. And when she's working with children, she just really holds space. And I really feel like Emma sees herself in those children. And maybe that's the key to success. But she's been able to win lots of contracts with schools. She's super, super busy going out, teaching mindfulness and meditation, teaching Exhale Kids to so many children in her local community and online. And she's even been featured on the BBC News. I mean, what can I say? So you want to listen to Emma. We're going to keep this as short as we possibly can, but we do know that we like to chat. So please do say hello when you jump on or when you watch this on the replay. And as I say, we're going to try and finish at 1 o'clock. So if there is any questions that you wanted to ask us and you didn't get to, just pop them in the comment box and we will get back to you as soon as we can. So welcome, Emma. Thank you for joining me. I've kind of done your introduction, but do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming an Exhale instructor? What happened before you became an Exhale instructor?
Yeah, so I was a primary school teacher for 14 years, I want to say. And yeah, I just my eldest is now 13, so getting on a bit now. And after I had her, I just felt like the job wasn't particularly family friendly. So I was not able to. I felt like I wasn't doing either well. The mum guilt was huge because I felt like I wasn't spending enough time with her. But then, and I was only doing 4 days, but I was trying to fit a 5-day job into 4 days because my class was only covered on a Friday. It wasn't. I didn't job share. It was just covered. And so I was trying to squeeze all of that in, and I felt like I just wasn't doing anything very well. And I had my second daughter. She's now 8. And I, at that point, decided that I wanted to sort of start to maybe look at other things that I could do to either maybe just supplement working part-time as a teacher and, and maybe just having, a side hustle, as you like. And so I trained to do antenatal classes and baby classes. I've got a baby. I was pregnant. It was good timing to do that. And then that I sort of did half and half. So I did 3 days in school, and then I was sort of trying to build up a bit of a business on the side. And then towards the end of 2018, I really, really wanted to leave teaching, but I just didn't feel like my side hustle was ever going to give me enough of an income, which I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, the whole mindset around that in a bit. But Chloe, one of the other Exhale teachers, had seen your adverts for Exhale. And she mentioned it to me. She knew I was looking for something else. I took a look at it. Obviously, I'd heard of you through the antenatal stuff because that's where. But I'd never actually met you or really knew a heck of a lot about you. And yeah, I saw some of your stuff, and I think I conversation with you over Messenger, I think it was. Yeah. And that was literally it. I never attended a class. I just decided this was what I wanted to do. This I don't know, something just felt good about it. So I did my training with you in 2019, and it just grew. By the end of 2019, I was in the place where I was, this is now or never. I have had my foot over here in teaching. I've had my foot over here in my side hustle. And by, towards the end of the academic year, so July, I decided I'm going to go for it. I'm going to completely just jump in. I'm going to let go of the teaching. I held on, did a bit of supply for one school. And then the pandemic hit. And we went to lockdown, and it was like, could you think of a worse time to go self-employed? And it just felt like the carpet was just ripped out from underneath, and I lost the supply that I was doing at school. But as it turned out, it was the best thing that could have happened.
Yay. So and literally, as I said before, in my intro to you, you are like, at the moment, you're really busy, aren't you, with schools? I know you've actually had to take another instructor on to help you fulfill the demand for classes. And as I said, you've been featured on BBC News, and to do all of that in the midst of a global pandemic is pretty insane. So it's amazing to see how far you've come. It's such a privilege to watch your journey. But can you help people? And we get loads of people saying to us, I work in corporate, maybe, or work in an office. I've got like a 9 to 5. I'd love to be able to do what you do, but I'm just not ready, or I just don't know if it's for me. Like, what was the main thing that made you go, do you know what? Like, I'm doing it.
When I finally left.
Or just in general, like, I suppose you could look at it two ways, couldn't you? So like, when you first set up your side hustle, but then also when you were like, I'm going all in and I'm going to be fully self-employed.
I think at first, when I first decided that I was going to look at something else, it was sparked by we had my mother-in-law passed away, and then the following year my dad passed away. Wow. My dad had been poorly for quite some time. He's in and out of hospital, and when he did pass away, I mean, this is 9 years ago now, I just remember, and he wasn't even 60, and I just remember thinking to myself, life is too short to stay somewhere that no longer speaks to my soul, that no longer fulfills me, that I was just in a place where, like I said, I just didn't feel like I was doing any of the things that I was doing to the best of my ability, because I felt like I was just torn in too many, mums, we just naturally feel guilty about everything, don't we? And I just felt like I couldn't perform over here, and then I was letting my family down, and it just felt like I was just being torn. And so it was, for me, I would say it was sparked by just this idea that life is too short to be something that you no longer feel is your calling, I suppose.
Exactly. And I think we spend so much time at work. So most of our life is spent at work or asleep, so it's like you want to make those moments count. And I think it's those big events that happen in our lives when we do lose somebody, or, for me, absolutely, as you know, I lost my dad, maybe it's coming up for 2 years now, and during the pandemic, but also turning 40, that was a big wake up call as well. Like, what the hell am I halfway through? And luckily enough for both of us, we did make the leap, and we did see that actually, as you say, life's too short, and I want to have a job that feels more than a job. I think for me, it was like, I just want to feel like I make a difference, or that it's something that speaks to my soul, that feels effortless. I was the same as you. I was a teacher too, and it got to the point where it's so heavy, the heaviness and the weight of all of that paperwork, and the weight of all those kind of different, politics and all that kind of stuff. And I love the teaching, but I just the rest of it, and the rest of it was so heavy, and it was
Judgment.
yeah, the constant sort of assessment, the constant need to prove yourself. And really, that's one of the beauties of being self-employed, that, you know, you set your own hours, you set your own holidays, you never miss a school assembly, but also you haven't got anyone else to answer to. So that's kind of a bit of a double-edged sword as well, because nobody's there sort of pushing you along necessarily, unless you're in a community like ourselves where there's a bit of accountability, but, you know, within the Exhale instructor community. But if you're out there on your own, it is all on you. But I think that's why it's so important to pick something that really does, you know, motivate you. And I think working with children, especially as a mom, you know, like, I just think that is something that for most parents, in particular, you don't have to be a parent, but most of our kids instructors are parents, because, you know, once you've had a child, you can kind of, there's nothing better than that. Yeah, you can see why it impacts so many people. So one of the things I think is really important to say as well is that people will not feel necessarily ready to make the leap. People are kind of waiting, aren't they? And I'm sure you'll share your story on it, but, you know, you're waiting for somebody to deem you ready. Like, now is the time. You have upgraded to level 6. Now you can start your own business, you know. But that magic one, you know, nobody is coming to say that. You have to make that choice for you. You've got to find that why. And I think, you know, the fear will still exist. It's still potentially a risk, you know, in a lot of ways. But I know that the payoff for me when I was thinking about making those choices was looking at my little boy. And as I say, most of our kids instructors are parents. Looking at my little boy and saying, do you know what? If he asks me, you know, Mummy, I'd like to be an astronaut, for example, or I'd like to be a pop star, whatever it is, I'd like to run my own business, like to be like Richard Branson. I just wanted to be able to look at him and say, do you know what? You can be, do, or have anything you want, you know, and him be able to look back at me and know that was true and trust me, because here's me being, doing, having whatever I want, living, you know, I'm not saying life's perfect and simple and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, in essence, I've gone, that's the job I want to do, and I've gone out there and I've done it. So for him, what a gift to be able to give him. But can you, like, summarize really quickly, like, how did you get past that fear point of, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm ready for this?
I don't know. I think I was probably, there was an element of me still there that was still, but I think I just, having used the techniques myself, it just it opened, I don't know, it gave me the space to stop ruminating about what could happen, and, you know, and what would happen in the past. And my biggest fear was obviously losing that steady, stable income. That was the big thing for me. Also, I you know, I think especially when you're a teacher, your whole identity is immersed in being that person. And so I think I was also afraid of losing a little bit of my identity. But what Exhale gave to me, and you know, doing the practices for myself, was it helped me to really work on those things and work on that fear. And even though, and to understand that whilst I might be feeling the fear, to understand how I can use that to my advantage. If that makes sense. And also, you know, I suppose there was safety in the knowledge that, okay, if it doesn't work, I'm qualified, I can go back.
Yeah.
What does it matter?
Always an element of that. It's like, you know what is the worst that could happen? You just go back and get another job. And everybody's kind of situation is different, so we're not encouraging anyone to just, you know, quit the job.
No.
You know, I do know people that have done that, just gone, in that moment, I'm done. But I think it's really interesting, isn't it, how we have this, whatever job we've got really, but I do hear you, it is particularly prevalent in the teaching community, if you like, that we have our job title or our job role defines who we are. And I think the beauty of mindfulness and meditation and going on that journey whether you're starting a business doing it or not, but just going on that journey personally helps you really redefine and see who you are beneath all those layers of the job titles, the expectations, the responsibilities, all that heaviness that is placed upon us. And I just think, you know, even if in 10 years' time you'd had to return to teaching, you now know who you are aside from that. So it gives you that kind of real strong sense of self, which is beautiful in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, like I say, you know, I was tied up in that identity, and so it was very difficult. I thought I was a mom and I was a teacher, and even when I first trained, when I was you know, as I said, you know, I've got this baby activities and the pregnancy stuff is a side hustle, and then the exhale is a side hustle. If anybody asked me what I did for a living, I would always say I'm a primary school teacher, even though that was only perhaps 2 days of my week. I'm a primary school teacher because that is an understood job, and it's respectable, and people know what that is. So I hid the whole I do pregnancy classes and baby classes and a bit of meditation. So and it was always that was like my add-on. That's not me. It's and so I think I just got to the point where, like you say, I found me beneath the layers, and then it became I was a primary school teacher. I'm not anymore.
Yeah,
who I am instead.
I think that's it. Being self-employed, and everyone goes on that journey, don't they? And it doesn't really matter what business you start. But I always laugh, you know, if you go to like networking events and things, and I say this with love because I've been that person, and still at points can slip back into that quite happily. But you know, you sat there and you're a little bit, I just do a little bit of this, or if you're at a dinner party or something, and somebody says, you know, they say something like, "Oh, are you still doing your meditation stuff?" And I think, yeah, I am. But it's quite easy to slip into that, you know, and automatically you're kind of minimizing what you're doing. And I think it really challenges you to step outside your comfort zone being self-employed. You absolutely cannot hide, and whilst that's scary, it's also really, really super empowering, and the things that we've achieved. And I know for me and you, we've always sort of struggled with anxiety and confidence, and you know, like, there is no way around it. When you are self-employed, you have to challenge those labels we put upon ourselves. You know, I'm the shy one, I'm the one that doesn't do the public speaking, that doesn't go on Facebook Live. And I think it's a really amazing platform for you to, once you get over that fear, to just be you. You know, I just think it is a gift in that way, isn't it? So do you want to tell us, so we can keep on track? I mean, already we've gone wildly off track. That's just the way that it goes. Do you want to give us, what are your top tips? So do you know what I'm going? I want to show my kids that anything is possible. I want to do something that I absolutely love for a job, because that's where I'm going to spend most of my time. And I really want to make a difference in the world. So I want to start my business. What would be like the key steps? If you could summarize maybe 3 key short steps, what needs to be in place to kind of create success?
I would definitely say that join, you know, obviously get a good background in your training. If possible, join something that has a community so that you you know, if you've got those questions in your head and you want to ask somebody, you know, if you're in a job and you've got people around you, you've got those people that you can go to. But like you say, when you're self-employed, it can feel really isolating, and you can feel like you're on your own and you've got nobody to ask those questions to. So if you can find some sort of community that helps to support you, you know, it does make all the difference. I think that's really, really important, because they cheer you on.
Yeah.
it give, you know, and having that bank of support behind you that's non-judgmental, that just celebrates with you, you know, the successes, but is there with you, and the things that don't always go well, and you can come and say, you know, this bit hasn't gone so well, and having somebody saying, you know, it's okay, yeah, I've been there too. I think that's so important.
Somebody who gets it. And I also think what's really amazing, and I see it in our community all the time, and I'm sure it's true of any sort of training community, is that when somebody's doing well, that energy kind of reignites like the belief, the hope, the motivation, everyone else. And what you also see is that we all kind of raise that same vibration, you know, like it's like a container, and together we rise. So it just takes one person to go first, one person to have that little bit of success, and that kind of inspires and motivates somebody else to kind of, and we kind of all calibrate to this same frequency. I just think it's really beautiful to see that happening in the group. So 100% I'm with you on that. What else needs to be in place?
I think for me, definitely working on my own mindset. Super important, because I am so self-critical. You know, I am the first one to criticize every little thing, and I had to work through a lot of stuff, like doing this sort of thing and speaking on some sort of public forum is something that I never ever saw myself doing. You know, I was the person who, if I had to do an assignment and it was a speaking assignment at university, I was in absolute abject fear, like to the point where my whole body is convulsing, my kneecaps are everything is just, and my heart is just like it's going to come out of my chest. And just even the thought of having to speak in front of somebody was just, and which I know sounds ironic for somebody who's a teacher, because I'm in front of 30 children. But I think I said to somebody about the other day about how teaching is really a lot of acting, and you just embody this person, and you just become this other sort of image, if you like, and you embody something else. And so I had to do a lot of work on my own mindset and how I sort of functioned, and that was really important. That was really just the trick for me.
It's so true what you're saying about teaching, and you kind of wear this mask of what a teacher should look like, what they should do. And I used to be, as you know, a teacher, but also cabin crew as well. And it's the same with that. You put the uniform on, you put your red lippy on, and you are that person. And I think it creates this kind of like disconnect between who you are on the inside and who you're portraying as well. But what was really striking to me as you were talking then is that, and I say this all the time, you've heard this a million times, Emma, but when something is your purpose in life, it has two purposes. So you find the thing that brings you joy, you find the thing that's going to be of service to other people. That's the first prong, if you like, of a purpose. Like, it's to be of service to the world. But the other side to your purpose is that it's to facilitate your growth. It's to see you move outside your comfort zone. And the reason for that is that also facilitates growth in other people, you know, so that becomes like this circle of service. So what I always find amazing about our instructors is that they're so modest, and they just have no idea the amount of people that they are inspiring just by the fact that they are going out there and they're showing up in the world as themselves, not as guru status teachers, not with that mask like we were talking before, like me with the red lippy and the cabin crew stuff. This is like me, this is who I am, going out there in the world and just being of service to other people. That is inspirational to other people as well.
And I've had, it's funny, I've had so many people recently come to me saying, I think I'm going to do this or this or this or this. My daughter's like, can I go to the toilet? She's showing me a message. Can I go to the toilet? Because it'll make it. Yes, go. Real life. Oh yeah, so I've had so many people.
It's just us being real.
Like, last few weeks, just saying to me, I think I'm going to go and do this because you've inspired me. I've seen what you've done, and for me that's like, oh my gosh, little me who just sort of like hides in my conservatory, you know, has made somebody think, actually, do you know what? This is something that I could do.
That's it. And do you find that confidence that you've had to find in your business, because now you've got no excuse, you know, like literally, if you don't show up to class to teach, if you don't show up live, if you don't send, you know, if you don't kind of have those compelling posts that are really quite vulnerable sometimes, have you found that it's kind of impacted other areas of your life as well?
Oh yeah, massively. And I would probably say that the third thing that I would do is to recently I decided that I was just going to say yes to stuff and then work out the details later.
Yeah.
So all those bits of vulnerability and those bits that I would normally hide away from, my intention has been just, if something comes, if an opportunity comes up, just say yes, and then deal with the vulnerability and the worry around it, you know, as with, you know, using the techniques that we've been taught, because it does, it makes a difference.
Exactly. And I just think it's that, you know, that instinct. If you've got instinct to say yes to something, that's the voice of your soul. That's the bit before your humanness that is full of limitation, full of restrictions, full of glass ceilings, full of shoulds, full of what society wants you to do. You know, like that really clouds our true desires. And I think it's really, I think it's Mel Robbins, is it, that does the something like a 5-second rule, something like that. And it's like your first instinct to something, and then we can always figure out the details. I'm the same as you. I'm just like, I'm in. Like, oh,
Yeah.
sure how many do it, but
when they said that, when she messaged me about going on the BBC, and I was like, Joe, I'm just gonna say yes. I'll just say yes. I'll just work it out afterwards.
Exactly. I'm just gonna go on the BBC News. Exactly, it's perfect. And I just think, again, you know, for all of the fear, all of the uncomfortableness, I think it is so freeing to finally step beyond that once you've broken through that barrier that everyone has to go through. So please don't watch this and be like, oh my god, it sounds really like awful trying to run your own business. But actually, when you come off those lies, when you come off that filming, for example, when you've done all the things that you thought you really couldn't do, like sitting at the festival and teaching to hundreds of people at once, you know, when you've done it, you just think, wow, it's so empowering to think, if I can do that, I can do bloody anything.
You know? Little step, just and it has been. I mean, I know it seems like it's happened really quickly, but it has been baby steps. And when I first signed up, you know, this was my side hustle, and I used to dread doing my tax return because I'd look at how much income I'd made, and it'd just be like, it'd just be pitiful, and it was like, why am I bothering? Why am I bothering? So I could say, why did I decide that I was going to? And I literally got to a point where I was like, right, I can keep this going as my little side thing, and it will always just be this thing that just is my side bit, or I can really see if I can jump and make a go of it. And as I said, you know, for me, it was the knowledge that, okay, I've got this to come back to if I need to. And that was there. So for me, you know, I wasn't making a lot of money before I actually decided to finally jump, you know, because I was just doing bits, and it wasn't until I jumped and and as I say, then we went into a pandemic, and that sort of forced me to work in a different way, and you know, rushed my baby steps, but in a way that I needed that. Exactly. And I can say that when I did my tax return this year for last year, even in a pandemic, I made probably 3-4 times more than I'd ever done just by having it as my, and that was in the middle of pandemic. We were in lockdown to teach how I wanted to do it. And this year I've almost doubled what I did last year. And I'm not in April yet, so there's still time. But yeah, I never ever thought that I would be able to do that. And when I look at that now, and I just think, yeah, it was for me, it was the right decision. As I say, you know, if it all went completely wrong, I know I'm safe in the knowledge that I've got that I can go back to, but I don't think I'll need to. But yeah,
just, you know, to kind of have that kind of level of impact, have that financial return on it as well, and doing something that you absolutely adore, like that's just so exciting. And I think, you know, if I was somebody thinking about starting a business, that's the sort of thing, you know, that's the dream. You're doing amazingly. And I think it's also really important to say that if you do start a business working with children, whether that be, I don't know, providing sports or dance or sort of like a language lesson or crafting, whatever it is, you know, if that makes a difference to that child's life, you know, the reverberation of that, the ripple effect of that is so massive. It goes, where that child goes home different, that then means maybe that day that they say something that they might not have before to a friend or a family member, to a sibling, to their parents, to whatever it is, and then that parent, as a result of that, is also changed. And I just think, wow, like if you think about it in in those kind of terms. Like, why wouldn't you be doing this? I think it was Chloe the other day posted something about how her little boy now meditates and does this breath work and uses his affirmations and things. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I always count my success. It's really easy to count my success in terms of what's coming into the bank. And I just looked at that post and I went, you know what? If that is the only child that we'd reached, this business is still a massive, massive success, because that child has that opportunity there to have that awareness of what's happening with their nervous system, with their body, with their emotions, and that understanding of I'm not broken, I'm not wrong, because I experience real human emotion. That opportunity to bring it all back into balance so that they can have confidence and clarity and go out in the world different, and then show up differently with their friends, with their teachers, and have those ripple effects. Job done. So, and when I say that, I get goosebumps, you know. So it's if you're thinking about it, just get out there and do it. Is there anything else you want to say, Emma, about why in particular now? Like, if you could summarize it in like 1 or 2 sentences, why is now for you personally a really important time for us to be bringing mindfulness meditation to kids?
For children. Okay, so just if you just look at the numbers of children who are now feeling the need to access. So I mean, I wrote some bits and bobs down, and I've got 2 pages of notes. But at the moment, so in 2019, just over 200,000 children were accessing specialist services for mental health. Wow. Between April and October 2021, that number went up to over 400,000.
Wow.
It's huge, and that's just for the whole of 2019, it was just over 200,000, and in just a few months, it's doubled. It's scary. It's scary. Yeah, really scary. And the thing is that you've got children who are in school who are not hitting the severe criteria to be able to access mental health services through the NHS, but head teachers and teachers are reporting that they are seeing in the majority of children post-lockdown some sort of mental health issue that they now need support with, and now schools are having to provide that support, and their budgets are squeezed, and counsellors would normally in a year see 100 pupils. In the autumn term alone, just gone, they saw that amount. Wow. Just in the autumn term. So imagine what that's going to be like by the end of the year.
I think, what's really been apparent, same as what you're saying, what the figures say, really, but what's been apparent in the conversations that I've had with, the teachers at my children's schools, etc., it's just that it doesn't happen necessarily to other people. It's not happening to other people's children. It's happening. There'll be children that that are struggling right now. And as you say, that the service, the NHS is amazing, but it can't, the capacity. And for those people that will live maybe like us with that kind of low level, like sense of self-criticism and anxiety and probably depression, all that stuff from being very young, we would not hit the criteria. And yet there was so much pain and suffering and so much growth, a beautiful journey when you look back. But actually at the time, that was super painful. And I think if this had been available to us, how different would our lives be? We wouldn't have started our lives at like 38, 37.
Yeah. Wouldn't have waited until I was 37 to decide that I was okay. Exactly. And I mean, if you think about the way that schools are running at the moment, the provision, the focus, and I know for my youngest daughter's school, all the after-school clubs and before-school clubs are phonics, English boosters, maths boosters. There's no, I think there's one sports club. That's it. The after-school provision, it's all focused on, okay, let's catch up on the academics. Yeah. What about the enrichment stuff? What about the music? What about the drama? We're going to have a generation of children that are completely switched off because they're just pushed to catch up.
The truth is, if emotionally, and we know this, if your nervous system is unsettled,
they're not going to retain any of that extra stuff anyway. They're going to be exhausted because they're going now into school from 20 past 8 in the morning until 4, 4:30, and it's just, let's do a bit of extra phonics, let's do some extra maths, let's do some extra English. Oh my gosh. I know one child, one of my mums was talking about her child and how he wouldn't eat breakfast the other morning because he needed to read his reading book to make sure he could pass the test at school.
Yeah, ridiculous,
No.
isn't it?
No, that's
No.
not. It's not. No,
It's
we
not
shouldn't
right.
be living like that.
I mean, it's difficult, and it's not the teachers or the school's fault necessarily, is
No.
it? Either, you know, we know that
The
we've been there.
system.
It is. But you know, what's really beautiful is that we really offer for children and those other people, whether you train with us or not, those people that are going out there in the world and offering mindfulness, meditation, yoga for children. It really, really does make a massive impact, and is absolutely the foundation. The nervous system is the foundation to everything else. It's the foundation to relationships. It's the foundation to learning. It's the foundation to self, understanding who you are, what you stand for. So you could argue this comes down to, like value, your values and learning right from wrong. It all comes from this really settled nervous system, and that's what yoga, mindfulness, meditation does for kids. So we are going to finish because we absolutely promised that we would. I know you've got a date with your daughter as well, which is gorgeous. So we will finish by saying, if anyone is interested in training with us, we have training going on all year round. Emma is your amazing lead trainer, so she hosts you, holds your hand the whole way through. We do have a special offer on at the moment on our kids training, so I'll pop the link on in a minute. I'll let Emma go, but if anybody wants any further information, you can either direct message me or Emma. You can have a look at the details on that link, or you can pop comments in the group or on any of our pages. But it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, to talk to you, Emma. Thank you for everyone who's joined us. Thank you for everyone who watches on the replay, and thank you to those people that go out and do this work. We'll see you.